Vanguard update 1.09, yesterday, or last night's title update rather, that came to Vanguard and brought the promise of a lot of different fixes here for what we could see in terms of gameplay. Did it actually bring all the fixes and all the changes that it said that it was going to? Well, what do you think? Honestly, man, like, I'm just kind of tired at this point of how many bugs are introduced with every single update. But anyways, we're breaking down what changed here today, what secret changes were actually made as of this update as well, and some things that unfortunately, well, yeah, they're still broken. Let me know your thoughts down below. Did I miss anything here that maybe you picked up on? Is there anything in particular that you quite like out of these changes? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on the video. And of course, if you are new to the channel and want to stay up to date with all things Vanguard, all things Warzone, hit that subscribe button. We're on that road to 500,000 subscribers, and with nearly 70% of viewers not subscribed, I'd love to have you in the community and keep you up to date with absolutely everything. That said, let's talk about this update. So for this, I want to start out firstly by talking about the actual update, what it set out to achieve, and what we actually saw with these patch notes. Then we'll talk about some inadvertent changes, both maybe for the good and also a lot of bugs that stemmed out of this. Starting with what was detailed in the patch notes here, Sledgehammer ended up saying that we had some stability fixes for Daniel's alternative skin that will no longer crash your game. That's something that was persisting and is hopefully fixed out entirely. I haven't experienced it just yet, but definitely is nice to see that that was fixed out. We saw that the seasonal challenges are now actually visible, active, and tracking for those in Vanguard. Previously, we could only see these within Warzone, so you're able to now jump in and check these out. And if you're wondering where they are, because truthfully, they're not really well advertised in terms of the menus and where you can end up finding them. Where you can end up going, though, to see these is over to your barracks and the progression tab here with this. You'll see that it's your military season 1 rank and then your clan rank. Go over, hover over season 1 and select that. And from there, that's where you can see all your challenges throughout your 200 levels of your prestige grind right now in season 1. These should now accurately be reflecting as well the challenges and tracking properly. So something you can definitely do if you're a grinder. Now, they also mentioned that they have a couple of bug fixes for different weapons. The firefight blueprint apparently has been fixed to remove light coming from the front end of the barrel and parts of the optic. The Car 98K Hunter incentive skin apparently no longer allows you to look down the iron sights as opposed to the scope that it has attached. The top break muzzles no longer jump on reload. It corrected the loadouts using 7-round magazines, so the total ammo count is now divisible by 7. It addressed multiple issues with charms and quality of life passes, and also weapon animations have been polished and some glitches have been resolved. Now, overall, in terms of balance, they ended up mentioning a couple of different things, from weapons to attachments to even challenges themselves. I'm going to save the challenge here for just a second in terms of discussion, that dealing with the Panzerfaust camo challenges, but the Car 98K and Type 99 now retain the ability for one-shot kills when landing chest shots using lower caliber magazines. The top break had an issue resolved with its damage, and the Granko anti-tank rifle at its default scope, no longer heavily obscuring the player's vision when meleeing with the bayonet. For the attachments, the melee range has been reduced for the bayonet when the Reach Kit perk is applied. And then let's talk about these camo challenges, because not only do we have just the Panzerfaust adjusted in terms of what was detailed, but also some corrections to others. Firstly, the double barrel had a correction in the wording for the Death Artist challenge to say the 16 gauge mag instead of the 12 gauge mag. The Assault Rifle Alpha, which is the STG, and the M1 Garand both should now properly show your progress on your weapon camos. This was something that was apparently fixed out a couple of days ago, didn't quite track, but also was still something that had a couple of passes since launch where this should have been working, but to no avail for some players. Now, I can say firsthand that I did see some progress made on my STG here. I played one single match after completing some other camo challenges because I didn't have any other build made for a weapon class. So I just jumped over to my STG to see, okay, well, if I progress it, I progress it. If I don't, I don't. But I did actually end up getting progression to those two that were not tracking beforehand, of the headshots and the eliminations. Whether or not they stop halfway through or something like I've seen other people say, I don't quite know just yet. I'm not really going to say this is fixed until I can complete these, but for the time being, they seem to properly track to some degree. And then finally, that Panzerfaust challenge was changed so that instead of destroying aerial kill streaks, it's now set to track long shot kills. But that in and of itself is a big problem right now as well. We're going to talk about this a little bit further, but just know that this long shot challenge doesn't actually track, and it's something that it still does not allow you to get gold, even if you were able to end up getting these long shots done. The other challenge that was there, the 3 kill streaks in a single game, still isn't tracking, so that really isn't actually fixed. But continuing on a little bit further before we get to my gripes and other things like that, cross progression now apparently is mentioned to have some fixes here where getting kills in Warzone now counts towards challenges in Vanguard, though I don't think that still counts towards camos, which is unfortunate why you can't really progress any camos in Warzone as well. That just seems weird to me. Master Ribbons data from Cold War will now be imported and reflected in Vanguard. We saw the kill streak of the mortar barrage had a semi buff, which I don't quite understand. And again, we'll have some more gripes to talk about here in just a second, but it increased the damage dealt by the mortar barrage flare and has made it easier to deploy whenever you end up trying to throw it down. The maps of Paradise, Radar, Desert Siege, Bokij, Red Star, Berlin, Numa Numa, Gavudu, Demyansk, Subpens, Castle, Oasis, and Das House have all had a bunch of different fixes here to them, a lot of them being several out-of-map exploits. The one that drove me absolutely mad when trying to do my Sten long shot challenges as of yesterday, which are already a huge pain to begin with. I had to deal with people that were glitching outside of radar and getting on the rocks behind the radar array, but a bunch of improvements were apparently made to all of these maps as well. Haven't seen all of these in the rotation just yet to confirm, and honestly, half of them I also didn't know about to begin with, so I also couldn't give you any really sort of first-hand experience of how it was before versus how it is now. Control is now live in the game mode section here at this. We'll talk about that again in a second when we talk about playlists, and then there were some smaller user interface errors that were adjusted as well. Also changed but not listed here in this, if you ended up noticing that your KD may have gone up, if you've played a lot of Das House since its introduction, this is probably something that you've noticed. This sort of retroactively added your stats from Das House over the last month or so because there was a tracking issue that wasn't actually affecting anything positive towards your KD on that map. It was tracking your deaths, but not your kills. So it was something that would directly hurt your KD, but not ever positively impact it. So that's been adjusted. Your KD probably has gone up. Mine, I know, went up by 0.4 from before this update to where I am now. UAVs now can't be called in when a counter UAV is active, which is a nice little quality of life change, I think, that honestly I kind of appreciate. I know that whenever I'm playing hardcore, you can't really tell that there's a counter up, so if you burn a UAV and it just goes directly to a counter, well, it doesn't help you out at all. One thing that I don't quite like is that on Das House, they patched the long shot spot in A domination. You can still, of course, look down that entire hallway looking into Oval from Seaside on the sort of wooden bench there that you can mount onto, but you can't actually jump up into that barrier that overlooks the entire hallway anymore from A side. They put more tires there to block all of that. Then the final change that I noticed initially here was that dogs are the sleigh bell dogs a little early, so you might hear some jingling from now between when the update actually goes out for Warzone later tonight and when the holiday festive fervor event kicks off, but that's something that went live a little bit earlier. Also today we saw again that Control was added in the playlist rotation via quick play. Shipment 24/7, Bloodshed, Blitz, Champion Hill duos and trios are in the rotation now, with Ship House 24/7 as well as Radar and Paradise 24/7 going away. And we do have a quintuple XP event of double XP, double weapon XP, double operator XP, double clan XP, and double battle pass XP, which is a nice little boost over that was only listed on the Trello board for Warzone as double XP, double weapon XP, and double battle pass XP. So a little bit more in terms of Vanguard players, what they get as a bonus. But this is going to be live until the 20th, and it looks like we'll have another event of some sort of XP bonus on the 23rd to the 30th as well. But that's what changed here, but let's talk about some of the bad things here. The downsides, inadvertently, some changes were made that introduced quite a few new bugs, quite a few new problems that, honestly, man, I'm just tired of this. I'm just tired of having an update where I can't really look forward to the good because I know there's going to be bad that overshadows it. There's not going to be more fixes that are good than problems that are introduced here. Of course, one of the biggest things that I was really looking forward to was perhaps finishing out my Panzerfaust, getting that gold and getting diamond launchers finally. But because this has been bugged since the launch, you still can't, and it hasn't changed with this update. The Panzerfaust long shots don't actually track. The 3 kill streaks in one game still also don't work, so that needs change too. And I can't believe that it wasn't, but the long shots, if they're using the same measure as the Mark 11 long shots, they aren't tracking for sure in that regard. And even if you can end up sniping somebody with the Panzerfaust across the map, I know that my squad was sniping people on Demyansk, we weren't getting long shot tracking there to it, so it seems like that just isn't working in general. I'm all for the challenge here, making it easier, of course, but really the only thing that needed adjusted out of the original challenge was the hitbox and perhaps the damage value against vehicles for the Panzerfaust. Because, I mean, you have the bazooka, you have the Panzerschreck, both of those work entirely fine. And truth be told, the Panzerfaust, while just having a slight deviation in its travel path, that's the only thing that would have really made it tricky outside of actually being able to destroy these. If you make it so you can take them out in one rocket, you don't have a problem. And then, of course, that 3 kill streaks in one game, that'd be incredibly easy to do at that point because it's just as easy as the Panzerschreck and the bazooka. So while I feel like they changed it and made it easier in theory, one, they didn't change it, and two, it wasn't really the change that was entirely necessary. Same thing with the mortar barrage semi-buff, man. Like, I don't know why we're buffing this to a degree. Yes, it's only the flares, but I don't see why a 5 kill streak lasts, what, 30 to 45 seconds, and you can spawn inside them. Especially if you're playing hardcore, that's the biggest pain in the ass outside of the incendiary grenade right now, if you ask me. On PC, the menus have terrible frame rates and stutters to the point where it takes sometimes 10 seconds to just switch tabs and go over to the next tab in your menu. Doors are broken in private matches, especially in CDL modes. They're off by default there, but they're there. You can walk right through them, but they still visibly show up. So it's a whole mess for the CDL in that regard. Packet bursts are still insanely present. Prestige levels still are not showcasing properly. You have more visual bugs popping up within Vanguard as well. So it's just frustrating, man. Like, I kind of feel defeated. Like, I'm not a super negative person. I've said it before, if I'm not enjoying something, I don't play it, and that's why you're probably seeing, at least on the Warzone side of things, some repeat gameplays that we've seen here on the channel already, because I just haven't been playing. I don't have an interest in playing right now because everything feels so broken. I feel like whenever I'm putting some time in, it's not really valued in that sense because I can't make progress to some things I'm going towards, or just something's bugged in some regard that just makes it feel less worth it, you know? So yes, there was an update here for Vanguard. Did it fix everything? Not by a mile. Will Warzone's update tonight fix everything? Probably not. I mean, fingers crossed, but at this point, I'm not really expecting a whole ton. So there absolutely needs to be some work done, and right now, as a consumer, we're kind of in this really no-win situation because it's the holidays. Everybody's workflow is either slowing down, if not halted for about a week or two here at this. So it might not be something we see fixed for a little bit, and that's just downright depressing to me. So that said, that's where we're at here. This, fingers crossed that maybe some fixes come through and actually patch all this stuff up. But for right now, that's where we're at, man. But anyways, that's where we're gonna leave you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drop a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, if you want to stay up to date with all things Call of Duty, whatever the case may be. I'd love to have you in the community. We're on that road to 500,000 subscribers. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.